Sweet. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Vtuber Movie Club. For this episode, we're going to be talking about two interesting movies. One's called The Space Between Us, which is like a sci-fi rom com. The other one we're going to be talking about is the much loved and talked about Spirited Away from Studio Ghibli, I think it is. I am terrible at how that pronunciation goes. But yeah, I'm one of your hosts. My name is Trey Bon1, but everyone just calls me Trey. Yeah, I just kind of organize everything, and that's about all I do. So yeah, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Who's going first?
Whichever one wants to go first. I always forget to say who goes first.
I could go first. I'm Movie Valentine, variety streamer, do a lot of different things. It's like movie genres I usually watch because I'm cheesy. I like the romance and then some spookies. Yeah, I just here to watch movies and have fun.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, Nina, you
And
can.
yeah, and I'm Nina, your local robot enthusiast, and I watched most of the robotic focus movies. So love to see y'all.
Well, I hope we get Transformers soon. I know you put that on there. I know you've probably been waiting patiently, very, very patiently for it.
I put like three of my options as Transformers, so I'm hoping soon.
Yeah, we have a lot of movies, which is good, but also sucks that sometimes they don't pop up. So I'll cross my fingers. I hope that one pops up. But yeah, before we get started in our usual movie discussion, let's do what we usually do and start with a question. Um, so as we watched Spirited Away and we saw all these like interesting like spirits and everything. My question is, what kind of spirit would you? Because I know in like the movie we got like the river spirits and stuff like that. So I was wondering what kind of spirit you guys would like to be.
Hmm.
um, that's a good one. I think I do like the. It's either the water one or I think I remember a fox one.
I believe there's like a fox. At least I don't know if it was in the movie, but there is like uh fox spirits in Japanese
Yeah.
folklore. So that's a good one.
Hmm.
That's good. Would probably be like the spirit robots or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'll pick the tiger spirit, like spirit of tigers.
Ooh, that's nice. That's a really good one. I might have asked the question, but I don't have an answer because I might have came up with this question about 5 minutes before we started this video. Um, let's see. I don't know, probably like a sloth or something. Very lazy, so or or a red panda. I'd want to be a red panda spirit. They're adorable. They
They
also they
are.
also get scared by everything. So yeah. I mean that was a very quick question, but I thought it was a good one. So and it kind of gets us started with this discussion. If you
Let's get
get
started.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Uh, slideshow, PowerPoint. There we go. So we're gonna be starting with the space between us. These slides were made by Wolfie. Take it away, Wolfie.
Oh Lord. Okay. So space between us, a very cutesy sci-fi movie. Like at first glance, just from the movie poster, it doesn't look like it'd be a romance, but I'm pretty sure in some of the trailers you do get to see part of that. But yeah, I don't remember when I saw this movie, but I thought it was just really cute because also having like being in a long distance relationship, it kind of shows how they're dealing with it in their scenarios. I thought that's one way to relate to some people.
It, when we watched the trailer, I definitely got the vibe that it was a rom com and stuff like that. But actually, what to
Ye-
be truthful, when I started the movie, I was a little worried. I googled it, and the reviews weren't great for.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't the greatest movie, but I'm like, I I kind of liked it. I know people are saying like the story wasn't the greatest, like it probably could have been directed better or something like that. It's like reviews were on and off on like certain different things, but I personally still liked it even if it wasn't the greatest in everybody's opinion.
Nina, what did you think of the? Just to lay, we don't need to go into spoilers just yet. What did you overall thought?
I'm one of those people who didn't like it.
Oh, what
Eh,
didn't you like about it?
I didn't like the romance of it. I wish it more focused on like the kid's journey of fitting in like society,
Oh
just coming
yeah.
from home.
well, this is actually great because now we get the someone that loves the movie, and then we get someone that didn't enjoy it as much, and I'm the middle ground because I enjoyed parts of it, other parts I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily enjoy, but I will say I'll give this movie credit in one thing, for sure. Uh, it jams so many different genres together because it starts off like, oh, cool space movie, like sci-fi, and then there's some
Yeah.
romance, so it's a rom-com, and then it turns into a freaking Catch Me If You Can type situation where they're chasing him, and then there's
Oh
also
yeah,
a
there's so
mystery.
much.
Yeah, it's just like a combination of like a million different genres put together. I thought
I
was
think that's
actually pretty.
why some people didn't like it because even though with everything meshed together, it just didn't go, I guess, flow right with everything.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that. Well, we can go to the next slide, and we'll might as well get started with the actual review. So
Okay. For this slide, I put at least like the important characters you see a lot throughout the movie. Of course, you got the couple, not a couple quite yet, but the romance blossoms throughout. You got Tulsa and Elliot Gardner. Tulsa, just a girl from Colorado who's like dying to get out of where she is. Kind of in the same sense of Gardner being stuck up in Mars, dying to get out of that bubble. He wants to visit Earth and see everything because he's only ever known what's been in his bubble. Just like it's a cute. They both kind of have same situation. They connected, but in the beginning, Tulsa doesn't know Gardner's like full history, so he has to like kind of lie and say he's not from Mars. He's like from some penthouse or whatever and has a disease, and it's the reason why he can't leave where he's at. And then with the people at the bottom, I had an arrow pointing at Sarah, who's like in the middle in front of everybody with the astronauts. She is the leader of that crew who's going on this mission that Nathaniel, the dude in the suit, like funded, started. He's like head CEO dude of this because his whole dream and goal was to start colonizing Mars. It's like kind of in real life, people are like already dying to get out of Earth, and I'm like, that's a lot. But yes, she is who we find out later is Gardner's mama. It's like she ended up getting pregnant, like or finding out she was pregnant as soon as like they already took off in the rocket. So she's pregnant up in space, and that poses a lot of questions. And then Kendra, who we see a little after Gardner's born and stuff, she ends up becoming Gardner's like mom in a sense. She's the very much the one who watches Gardner the most and tries to like teach him and raise him as he grows up, along with the other scientists who are already up there too.
And obviously, some of these people are kind of big name actors, but
Oh yeah, I
obviously,
forgot their actor names.
yeah.
I know the Gardner kid is also in Miss Pettigrew and something something. It's a long title. Good movie. I like that one too.
Miss Pettigrew's for or Extraordinary Children or
Peculiar.
Peculiar
Yeah, that
Children.
one.
That one.
That one. Yeah, I know he's in that one. There's some other couple movies he's in. It's like I
Uh,
think he's the only one I really know of other movies they could be in. Tulsa. She does look familiar, but I can't think of a movie off the top of my head.
So the actor who plays Elliot, his name is Butterfield. Also is
Hmm.
Britt Robertson. She's been in Tomorrowland. She was in
Oh, that's
Pride,
right.
A Dog's Purpose. That.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And then, of course, we have Nathaniel, who's Gary Oldman, and in like a million movies.
Yes.
He was in the He's Dark Knight trilogy would probably be his role that people would recognize him from. He played Commissioner Gordon in all three of that. And then finally, for Kendra, we have Carla like terrible with last or names. It's Carla Gino or something close to that. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think for most people our age, grew up, obviously, or your childhood, you probably recognize her as the mom in Spy Kids.
Oh my god, is she?
Yes, and obviously,
Damn.
yeah. So that's probably where most of the people our age recognize her. So, but yeah. But yeah, cool. Yeah, no, that good description of just all of them. They all wanna, all of them have some connection to space. Who would have guessed, huh? So,
Yeah.
is there any favorite character like out of just this main cast essentially? Any favorite characters from you guys that you enjoyed or least favorite, whichever?
I mean, I like Gardner for the fact of um later on I'll discuss of how he was like getting used to all the Earth stuff when he does go onto Earth. He was he was watching these rom-com like old movies to try and like what's the old word? Te-
Yeah,
Tulsa, and it was like so cute. He's trying to like be sweet and all this, and Tulsa's all confused as like why he's so straightforward with everything. And it's just interesting to see that dynamic of like he's very I'm gonna tell you how I feel in the moment. If I'm curious about something, I'm gonna blurt it out. And it's just cute to me.
uh, any any favorites or least favorites with you?
I would say Nathaniel is my favorite because mostly when he's in the movie, he's just funny comedy character, which I prefer in him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think out of all of them, I think I like Kendra the most. She's probably the sweetest. Uh, and she obviously raised Gardner, thing like that, and they have some like rapport. And but I
Mhm.
I don't know. Also, her being the mom from Spy Kids, big plus. So so, but yeah. Well, that covers the characters. So now we can actually go full spoilers and just go through the movie.
Mm, mm,
So
uh. So like I kind of already mentioned before, I put like subtitle as Elliot's beginning because this is how we're finding out right after Nathaniel shot these astronauts up into space. Um Sarah, who's the name of Elliot's mom, she's like having all these sicknesses, throwing up, not feeling the greatest, and finds out that she's pregnant. And like everyone in the space station who's like back on Earth, I kind of hate how they keep saying it's a mistake. She was irresponsible and did this right before launching. I'm like, sometimes shit just happens. So I didn't like the word mistake, but that's what they keep saying. So
Well,
we find out like that. It's crazy.
it definitely is interesting stuff like that. I think the funniest thing about that is, which you can see my reactions when I was watching this movie. I'm gonna plug my the other show I do, Bring Your Own Subscription, where we watch the movies and just talk over
Mhm.
them. But yeah, no. When I was watching, I was like I don't know, like they keep on making it seem like they don't like they have a colony on Mars. They act like they no one's fucking like screwing up there. Like I'm
Mhm.
sorry, like everyone's all like, "Ooh, no, this has never happened before." I'm all like, I'm pretty sure there would be more mistakes up happening. I don't know. So
True. But I think the thing with this one is because she did it while she was still on Earth, and it was before launch, and I guess she wasn't checking up if she got her period or something. So she ends up finding she's pregnant while they're like on the way to Mars, and that's when like it takes months just to get to Mars. They even mention like she is due shortly after they land, because there is a part where it shows us they land and they have to like literally help the mom walk to the station they got there going, because she's about to pop. That's how like close cut in the time frame of the birth went, and I was like, that's just wild.
yeah. Well, and I literally just googled to double check my knowledge. So like more like the first sign that she was pregnant was
Mhm.
obviously her morning sickness, and that actually starts within the first 3 months of pregnancy. So
Yeah.
she might have they literally she could have slept with uh a person before, like literally
Yeah.
the night before could have been like, oh,
Probably.
type thing. So, but yeah, obviously that wouldn't get caught up with any tests or anything like. But yeah,
Yeah. Unfortunate timing, but still, it happened. Baby was born. Is that whole situation of like finding out she was pregnant, finding out that she was gonna give birth. Nathaniel, head CEO dude, was like, we have to keep this hush hush. No one can find out. So, like, no one knew of the pregnancy. No one knew of the birth. No one knew of Sarah's actual cause of death because she died shortly after giving birth to Elliot. It's like I forgot the scientific wording, but I just said it as she suffered many seizures because it was like seizure after seizure that was happening when she finally gave birth. So she was struggling. It's like they
yeah,
tried to keep her alive, but even in the scene, they had said like it's been 30 minutes without a pulse. So they had to stop and they had to declare her as gone. So now you have a baby up in Mars with no mama and all these other scientists.
yeah, and obviously they go into the implications later
Mhm.
on about what happened. So basically, obviously, based on our atmosphere and stuff like that, we have gravity and strength of our gravity actually messes. Obviously, we're pregnancy. So
Yeah.
if you have your whole pregnancy in space with zero gravity, stuff's not. Uh, don't know if many people know this. Obviously, babies they're very squishable, and I mean like their bones aren't actually like fully set and stuff. So obviously, their inner like their intestines and stuff like actually it's more of
A
cause
lot of
for
things
concern.
could have gone wrong.
Yeah. So had like the baby surviving in the first place, obviously just so
It
um
is. And then
and
he grows up adapting to Mars's atmosphere. So that's when, like, the whole talk of bringing the baby back. Because, like, even before he got older and was able to get a procedure, um, they had said there's no way he will survive the trip if they were to like send him back right then and there when he was born. There's no way. So he had to stay up there.
so and that's obviously it causes not only a national incident because obviously now pregnant woman in space, but actually it's also an international one because like it's a problem with the whole world because obviously space does not is not owned by anybody. So uh but yeah. So obviously that's why they try and keep it hush hush. They'll say
Like this will
how
be bad Perez, and it's like the fact that she died giving birth to this baby. It's like they had to lie and say she died of like some pressure problem.
yeah. Obviously just adds another obviously corporate cover ups happen all the time and everything like that. So bad press kind of gets swept under the rug at times and
Mm-hmm.
I will say when I was watching the movie, I'm all like, "There's absolutely no way they're keeping that out of the press for 16 years." Like somebody blabs, I think, for that because I don't know, but
I
that
think in reality, someone probably would have,
yeah
but in movie
in movie
reality, it's kept hush hush for 16 years until they bring him back. Because I think they said that's when they're just gonna own up to everything. And it's like, we're gonna try and bring this kid back, see what happens, and whatever, whatever.
and that's how the movie starts. The it's them going to space, finding out she's pregnant, and then she dies. Raised on Mars for 16.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for the opening? Then we'll just go on to the next part. What we got next?
Okay. I have 3 videos. You don't have to play them all yet.
Oh,
The only reason the two look exactly the same was because I couldn't find these scenes, and apparently there's the whole movie posted on YouTube. So
which we won't
I
tell
at
YouTube,
least
but
uh cut or like edited the thing where it's like start at this time, end at this time, for the scenes that I wanted.
yeah, that's perfectly so.
Okay, so later on, just like we see Gardner a little older now that like the whole beginning scene out of the way. We know why he's there, how long he's been there, and every time another year passes, I can just imagine the curiosity this boy has growing to like see Earth, experience stuff from Earth, and anything. It's like we also find out how he's been talking to a girl, this being Tulsa, from like this chat room thingy. I don't know how exactly it works or how long they've been talking because we only get slight mention of Gardner had been saying a phrase of "I wish I could be with you" kind of thing or experience something with you. And she replies with, "You've been saying that since last summer." So maybe a year ish, maybe a little more when he finally got access to internet, I guess.
Yeah,
Anyways, this boy's getting more and more rebellious, and having grown around scientists, he's also heckin' smart. So he hacks into this robot who's like his supervisor. He breaks into this thing, chops off its head. I'm exaggerating, but he does take off the head of the robot to like use it to plug into the system, hack into the information he wants. and that's where he finds a way to get the code and location of his mother's belongings. Because again, he don't got any real family up there. Like, yes, he's got Kendra, but that's not blood. And of course, any kid who doesn't know their parents wants to find out. So that's what he does. He tries to find out more clues and stuff. And even while he's like up there, he's watching these movies that he finds of more information of Earth, or like I said, he's watching these old rom-com movies because he's been talking to Tulsa and is all like girl crazy over her. So this kid's got many reasons to like want to leave. And so for the videos, like the first one I put is where he succeeds in finding the information to get his into his mom's belongings, and within that stuff he finds a USB and it has a video of his mom with a dude who we will see later. I won't spoil, yeah, we'll get to that part.
See him later. But yeah, no. Obviously he's been talking to Tulsa for some time. It kind of it definitely seems like only,
Yeah.
but Tulsa also doesn't. She's in foster care and stuff, so obviously, I don't know. She
Yeah,
has a,
she's in school and foster care, and she also wants out. She's so done with people.
and obviously, this kind of gives her like a partner. Obviously, want the same thing, kind of. Well,
Yeah. They both want more than what the world is giving them right now.
I will say one of the funniest things about this movie is that they apparently think that we're gonna have our laptops be see-through in the future. Don't
I
think that
know.
will. I don't think that will happen. Mainly
I
because of
hope not. That's kind of weird.
that's a big security issue. Just like, oh,
Everybody gonna be seeing, oh, she's talking to a dude. Who's this dude?
I know, right? I will say when I watched this, I thought it was funny because I don't know if you ever seen John Wick or like really any movie with a dead loved one. They always do the oh dead relative like video that's always there.
Oh,
And this one started off like I don't know, kind of funnier just because it starts with videotaping the guy and
yeah.
I'm all like, "Oh, that's fun." It's like a reverse of what happens. It's usually the one that's dead that gets recorded. Obviously it
Oh,
switches.
definitely.
Obviously it switches halfway, but it's still pretty funny. But yeah, no.
You should see this cute relationship of two people having fun on a beach house, all happy.
Definitely rich. God, house very nice looking. It's
I
beachfront.
know. Anything near the water always gonna be racked up a couple prices.
Oh yeah. No. It that scene's good because it obviously it's Gardner's witty and his intelligence and stuff.
Yeah. And then with the middle video, I found this scene very intriguing because how I'm quoting it, it's foreshadowing because we see a scene where he is watching this old German movie apparently that like a German scientist left behind when they visited Mars. And Kendra walks in asking about it, and then you hear kind of like what we're doing right now. Gardner gushes about the movie and says like he can understand it. I guess he's just been watching it that many times. But he explains how it's a movie about these angels watching over people and how one of these angels falls in love with a human girl and how he the angel wants to be with the girl. So if he falls, he can be just like her and be with her. And I was like, that's definitely foreshadowing of how like Gardner wants to be with Tulsa and wish he wasn't up in Mars. And then the last video is like the first time we see them chatting on their see-through computers.
See through computers. Yeah, it's the future, guys. But
Definitely.
I will say, it's funny that it's like such a little, like, I don't know, like, you're going to space for years on end. Wouldn't you have like a giant, like, just download kind of movie?
I
Like,
would have thought so too.
like, I'm all like, why is it all just like these very clearly old movies? They might be good movies. I've seen them before. I don't know. I don't even know if they're real movies. It can be a Home Alone situation. The movie is not a real movie, but
Probably.
like, it's weird that they aren't like bringing like more modern.
I know some of them are a little older, but dang, they bringing really old movies up aboard.
But yeah, like I would fuck it. I would bring any like I would probably bring movies I don't even like. I would get a ton of different like hard drives and just like, download.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I would do. Probably do it just because you're staying up there for years. So watch the.
Stay with me.
Why?
Because misery loves company.
Why are you miserable?
Why are you
The
miserable?
basic people of the school. Everybody's always fronting. Nobody's ever real,
It's
you know?
school. No
My
one
best
wants to
friend
be at
isn't even
school.
real.
Tell me about it.
Half the time, if they do, it's just because they get to see other
I turn
people
18, I'm
or they have
so out
friends.
of here.
And it
Emancipation.
obviously shows Tulsa
Emancipation.
doesn't really have many friends. And Gardner's the only one she really talks to.
Tulsa,
Yeah.
I just wish I could go with you.
It's like that's probably another reason why they connected. They're both kind of outcasted
No, I can't.
in,
Right.
both
You can't leave your
places they're
house.
at.
It's not a house.
And
It's a penthouse.
they're each other's kind of comfort.
I can't leave because of my disease. Osteogenesis imperfecta.
Yeah, still don't believe you.
When your foster dad be unhappy.
Yeah. No more checks from the state.
Stuff.
Study lab is over. Gotta go. See you in the funny papers.
Also, clearly the teacher does not care that
You
she's
always
just
say that,
typing
but
or messaging.
I had a foster sister in
Oh yeah,
Oklahoma who used to say it all
that
the time.
teacher doesn't.
Just
There's a
different way
whole
of saying
scene
goodbye.
later where
Talk tomorrow?
she and Gardner get into like a little argument
I'm not going
because
anywhere.
this is still when she's not really believing, because Gardner does end up telling her his true origins and she's still not really believing it. So the more he keeps saying it, there was an argument they had, and she brings up like the only reason I liked so and so's class was because this drunk never cared what we did or teaching. He's like, I could just be on the computer and I could talk to you. And I was like, damn.
Yeah. Obviously, we know the situation. Clearly, he was, but from an outsider's perspective, someone saying, "Oh yeah, no, I'm from Mars," I think you're gonna believe them. I think Tulsa actually is like very
Well, because
reasonable in her.
I think she's also very like factual thing, because even a little later, um, there's a point where Garner's trying to tell her like, look this person up, because like this is my mom. And so she's looking up the mom's name and she's like, oh, there is an astronaut named Sarah Gardner who did go on this mission, but it said she died of this and this. And he was like, well, that's a lie. That's what they put in the papers. So she's like on and off of believing some things he says and not and stuff like that.
Any final comments? Section.
Nope.
Just like to ask, just so that way everybody can get their thoughts on. Okay.
This one,
First steps
First
on Earth.
Steps on Earth. Yeah. So this is like, I think we've gotten to the point where Kendra is like trying to convince quote unquote bored people more Nathaniel because he's kind of brushed this whole thing to the side for this whole 16 years. Kendra's like, this boy needs connection. He needs more. It's like he's too smart for his own good to stay up here because he keeps trying to get out, yada yada. So Kendra talked to someone who's like almost same status as Nathaniel, and they were both like, he needs this procedure that I know can be done. He is old enough, he should be able to be fine after this procedure, and he can come to Earth. I forgot the name of the whole procedure, but they're putting like carbon fibers on to Gardner's bones because Earth's atmosphere definitely a big difference from Mars's. So to make his bones a little bit stronger and help him get a little used to Earth, or at least traveling Earth a little simpler. So he gets his procedure. It was forced un un what's the word I'm looking for? Nathaniel didn't have a word in this. It had to be done. Because
Yeah.
like it's been far too long that this boy hasn't been able to come out into existence, and like everyone is against Nathaniel. They want to bring this boy home so that he can be a normal kid.
Yeah. I think, if I remember correctly, I think they hide it. Yeah, they hide it from him. That they even do the procedure
Yes.
and that he's on the ship. When Nathaniel finds out, it's literally looking at the data logs, notices
Yes.
that Gardner
He had to like
is
hack in and find out himself, and he's rushing to wherever they're picking up the Gardner and Kendra, and like he's on the fence. Like you can tell he's very much upset but also curious because of how he's been up there this whole time and how he's different from everyone else.
yeah, and in how Nathaniel's obviously, as you explained, is the one that came up with this project. So he loves Mars. He loves the idea, and this is all his like brainchild and everything like that. So having someone that has been to Mars, being able to
Hmm.
talk to him, is like it's his celebrity moment. Like, ooh, I get to see. Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
what we
It's
can
like
watch the. I'll start the
the first
first.
one, yeah. That's when he first meets Nathaniel face to face.
Okay. I thought it said hospital. I thought it was him getting the treatment or the implant, but that's okay.
It shows, I think, no, this is just like they brought him into the hospital because like they landed, they got to make sure he's all good because of
Sorry
course
about the
he
quarantine.
instantly getting hit with the
Guess it's
pressure
protected you
of
from us.
Earth's atmosphere, and it's a
Big
bit
bubble, very
more
quiet.
intense than
Nothing was
Mars's.
changed.
Yeah,
Well, except that.
and
Cuz
obviously,
like even in the beginning
So
he's like,
full.
I feel heavy but
Big,
also light at the
green.
same
There's so
time.
many colors.
yeah, and then obviously they give him sunglasses. Basically, all of his time on Earth, he wears sunglasses because
Just
obviously
explain so much.
his eyes aren't adjusted
I know who you are.
um
Oh yeah.
to the
Our sun
sun.
is so bright.
Yeah,
I want to be them.
and
That's funny.
but yeah,
Because they want to be
and this
you.
is obviously in the top right with the
I got
pictures.
so many
Top right
questions
is
about Mars.
this is the stuff that they put
Like the
on
things
him,
about Earth. Oh, you think
on his
so?
Yes.
bones to help him, and the
I'll be
other
first.
one is them appearing
What's your
out of the
favorite thing about
um
Earth?
pod, which they make
Yes.
them wear like masks
Okay.
and stuff. It's obviously
What's your favorite thing
They got to
about
our
Mars?
readjust.
yeah, our air is
My
obviously
friend,
more
did you ever
polluted,
see my mum the
stuff
other day?
like that, as well
No.
as it's way brighter.
Mhm.
Yes.
Just like this whole conversation they have with the questions.
Obviously, Gardner asks more questions, Nathaniel, but
Yeah. And then that mother question, the fact that Nathaniel lied first before telling the truth, I was a little upset. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure the boy can tell that you lied. And he was just staring back at him like, you better tell me the truth kind of thing.
I think it's one of those. involuntary, like it's like subconscious that you'll say no, but then realize the implication. Like I'm glad he immediately said yes. I kind of understand like a little bit of the psychology of not saying yes immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I did interrupt you while you were
Oh
describing the.
no, you're
Okay,
perfectly fine.
you can go on ahead. I totally thought that. I totally didn't put together what that video
It's all good. It's like with the second video, this is like bro completely he escaped from the hospital that like we see him in that first video because he had found out that they want to do a bit more tests on him after like the first initial tests they said they would do because he knew that, like, of course, the first test needed to be done, but him hearing that more needed to be done onto him, he was like, "Does this mean they're sending me back already?" So he didn't like that at all. He was like, "I'm out of here. I'm gonna do what I came here to do." So he escapes, and his first move was to find Tulsa. So that's what he did. He ends up like I think taking a bus, walking, so many ways to get to Colorado and to Tulsa school. And then he walks up to her all nonchalant, trying to say hi and everything. And it's just a funny interaction that, like, you can see the shock on her face that, like, he's here, but then you see she's mad because you find out that she's been trying to like contact him, talk to him, whatever. But because he had to take the trip back to Earth, that took like 7 months. And she only saw it as he ghosted her. So I found that part a little funny.
and I guess we should a little bit more. So like monitor his condition and stuff like that on Mars. They added a magnetic heart on his chest. Um, and so the way he escapes from both the hospital and he like sneaks out of colonization on Mars.
Mhm.
The way he gets through those locks is literally just by putting his chest up against the lock because it's a magnetic lock. Unlocks obviously the magnet messing with it. Uh, but
Yeah.
but in doing so, it makes him very weak. Because obviously, it's like shocking.
Again, he's smart. He's too smart for his own good, having figured that out. But yeah, there's a consequence of you're going to be a little winded, but you can do this.
Yeah, and and during it, I just to explain more of his outfit also before. Yeah,
Mhm.
when he escapes, he's obviously just in a hospital gown. Then, but then he steals clothes from this old man, and so he like literally puts on like these old clothes, and the old man's like much shorter than him, so he's like all of his clothes are
You can see
too
his
small.
ankles.
Yeah, and then after he like gets away and stuff like that, he runs into a nice old man, like, talk for a little, and the homeless man compliment like thinks his glasses are cool, so they literally trade sunglasses and stuff like that. So now that's why he's wearing these sunglasses instead of those like. But I'll click the video so that we can see it. But yeah,
It is a cute interaction. It's like the
it
stuff
is.
he goes through before he even gets to Tulsa.
It really is. I thought it was very funny. Then just the bam, a little smack.
Yeah, she's angry, not
Yeah,
talking for 7 months when you're used to talking a lot. That's crazy.
7 months, people have phones.
when you're
Even I'd
used
be
to.
a little upset.
I didn't contact you. It was a very
Yeah,
specific type of travel.
Very
I
specific
will
type
say.
of travel to leave in
I
Tulsa.
think one of the
Yeah, I'm
weirdest
incredibly,
things in the movie.
very
I get
happy.
that he's very
Sorry to say
excited
this for you, but I
and
really
stuff
cannot
like
appreciate
that,
being blown off by one
but
person who I don't.
I don't
Oh,
know. Like in
I would never
when he was on Mars,
go
he
beside
talked
you.
perfectly
Hey,
normal
I've actually
to
gone through quite a
everybody.
lot to get here.
But
Mhm.
once he gets to Earth, he like I get that he's excited and he's probably a little bit nervous, but then he like starts talking like really
What was
weird
the night thought
and
you'd
stuff
be?
like that. He's just
You'll be the
like
I thought you'd be.
I don't know.
The
It's kind of
nerves kicked in.
yeah,
Weird.
like
I have a lab, okay? So,
Well, 'cause funny you mentioned that
can
also, I
you
do
just stay
remember
here?
a part
All right?
where
Do not
he
go
had
any
asked
farther.
Kendra, "How am I supposed to act on Earth?"
yeah.
Like, to me, it's funny that he says that, but again, he's been used to Mars and those people and those scientists, and like, it's also the thing of like, not everyone is a scientist, so you can't really use big words with everyone because they
Yeah.
probably won't understand it. So he had probably had to like try and act somewhat normal in his head. So
I will say the funny part in the video that you pick for that one, the guy's just waving because Gardner starts waving. I think
I
that was
know.
just funny.
I didn't
Uh,
notice it, so I fully played it because I was like, okay, this is the scene I need. And then I fully watched it to make sure that like it worked in here. And I was like, that's kind of funny that the user for this video did that.
but yeah, no. And so this is when obviously this movie changes genres again from being like sci-fi, not even just a normal, turns into the Catch Me If You Can, Cat and Mouse, Cat and Mouse. That's a,
Oh yeah. I will say a scene I didn't include, but it is funny if anyone does want to like watch the movie. Shortly after Tulsa goes to her class, Gardner goes into said class. He's like, I can't wait anymore. I'm gonna chill with you, kind of thing. And he's like being this big brained because he makes a comment of something the teacher was asking about, and then the next thing you know, Gardner gets up from his seat and pulls on the, I forgot its words. It's the shower thing for if you mess with chemicals in like those science rooms. He ends up pulling
the
that on
emergency.
himself and everyone's laughing, and
It's the
it's just
emergency shower.
yes. It's like it's interesting to see like he is now in a human school setting, and like he does the casual thing of like answering a teacher's question, and then instantly he's like, okay, curiosity has struck, I gotta get up and touch something. And of course the emergency shower is the first thing he did. He pulls the thing and now he is drenched.
And I kind of enjoyed that everybody like Gardner. I think that was like one of the things I found very nice about the movie is that clearly everyone in school clearly liked him. So even if he was
He
just
was a weird quirky kid that just walked into the school.
cannot happen in this day and age. It shouldn't have. It wouldn't happen in that day and age either. It was 2017.
Definitely. Yeah, this movie came out 2017.
This takes place in like 20, 16
Probably.
years after. But yeah, we can go into the last.
This is your chase scene that you were talking about. It's like this is like right after school's over. Gardner convinces Tulsa to like help him on his quest to find his parents because now he's found the girl. He's got to find his dad. So this is when they head over to Tulsa's house because she's got to get some money for their long trip. And while Gardner is waiting, um Nathaniel and Kendra caught up to Gardner because of course Kendra knew Tulsa was like in the picture in Gardner's life, so they like look her up, look up her place, stuff like that, all the information they could need. So that's how they caught up with Gardner so quickly, and they try to get him to come back, but then Gardner just bolts off. And Tulsa, having seen this like through a window in her house, she comes up with this devious plan of to take her foster dad's plane. And that's when the whole scene comes into action of like he's running from the van that has Nathaniel in it because he doesn't want to go back. and then you see this plane pop up from like the other side of the screen, and it's Tulsa's telling him to like get in so they can get out of there.
Okay. Which this is, I believe, an homage to like another movie, maybe. Very much reminds me of there's some famous. I forget what it is. I think it was an Alfred Hitchcock movie. But yeah. And I did like the scene earlier in the movie with Tulsa and her stepfather, because this is a crop dusting plane
Yeah.
and stuff like that. He is a drunk. I don't like that, but
Yeah.
the stepfather like literally just tells Tulsa, "Why don't you do it? You know what to do."
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. I will say it's funny that Nathaniel has like the door, like he doesn't just have like the window down, he's like fully hanging outside the for some reason.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I don't know, I just found that funny when
I
but
mean, he
yeah,
also gets thrown out of the van because
that's true.
the van ends up doing like a brake turn and he gets yeeted out.
Yeah. I think that's why I brought that up. I was like, what? See, it wouldn't have happened if you just like stuck your head out the window instead of having the entire door open.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. This kind of like the chase was already happening, obviously, ever since he left. But it's like when like it's like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it's funny that because throughout the movie, these chase scenes, Nathaniel and Kendra just get the support of the police and everywhere they go. Like all of
Oh
them
yeah.
just like agree to help them, which I get that they're from NASA and stuff, but does NASA have that kind of pull to be all like, "Hey, I'm gonna take some of your officers to help me find this," or some like, nationwide
Maybe.
manhunt? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how big of
But it concerns a secret that you didn't really want to get out.
I don't know how big NASA is with their like thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, any final comments, concerns? And we'll move on to the next. Obviously, I think that. Ah, yes. Now it becomes buddy road time.
Yeah, this is where all the fun starts like to unfold. It's like we have gone off on the road, I guess skies first, because they headed with the plane. Something I did not mention in the previous one, they end up crashing the plane because there's no brakes on this plane, but they were running out of fuel, or it was like oil pressure, I think they said.
Yeah, oil pressure like had it
It
like the
really is
engine
like
was
an action
stalling.
movie with this part. It's like
Yeah,
they had to land or use the highway, not highway, what is it, just road as their landing strip. And even then, again, no brakes. So they had to jump for it. And apparently they were heading right straight for a barn. Comes
blows
in the
up.
action movie, explosion, and they run away. Because they know they're definitely going to have like somebody on their tail because of this.
Yeah, the didn't expect an explosion. There was
I
one.
know.
It was not disappointing.
It's your mix of genres. Is like they're running away, you gotta have an explosion apparently. And then, like the title says, there is a little bit of crime. They are stealing stuff half the time. It's like even in the first clip, that car they have, they stole it. They like persuaded a car dude who was like fixing up cars in the garage, whatever, to like walk away and do quote unquote paperwork. And they took it when he wasn't looking. They stole that car right pretty easy. And
Yeah,
like that's just the beginning of them starting to go on this road trip to find out information. It's like this is just them trying to get away from everyone that's chasing them. And like the first video, there's that argument I talked about where Tulsa's still kind of in disbelief of the whole Mars story because she's trying to talk to him more, get to know him a bit more. And then he brings up more Mars stuff, and she's like, "I can't. This has got to be stupid. This can't be real," kind of thing. And they have their argument.
Oh, yeah, but yeah.
Gardner, when you said that you
So at this point, they haven't looked up anything. Like, oh yeah, and at the start of this, like, at one random point, I don't know, I forget how it happens, but basically, Gardner tells Tulsa that he's being chased because he killed his mother and stuff like that. Big red flag there, but she does not
get out.
stop at all. Like,
Oh yeah,
still,
that was during the school scene where he was like, "Here's a picture of my mother. Here's like the dude I'm trying to find." He's
you get,
and she was talking about the mom, and that's when he said, "Oh, she's dead. I killed her." And then Tulsa has like this look of, "What did you just say?" But still goes on talking to him and just goes to class.
No, it's just Mr. Hall's always drunk and nobody can
no
understand
red flags there. What are you talking
what
about?
we do on our computer. So that's what I look forward to calculus,
Yeah.
to talking to
So
you.
this is her explaining why she enjoyed black calculus. Calculus, obviously,
Yes.
working.
I was born on Mars. Just because people lie to you before, it doesn't mean
When I did watch this scene, I'm all like, why don't you just Google it real quick? Be all like, East Texas.
I
Oh, cool.
know.
They're like, obviously this, or I don't even think she would, like, at this point in history, wouldn't this have been already big news? Like, we have a colony on Mars. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you know this by now?
Especially with, like, some of the information, like, yeah, he probably hadn't said everything, but the fact that, like, in that whole classroom scene, he does say where he's from because the teacher asks, and he's like, "East Texas." And I don't know if it's just, like, maybe they thought East Texas on Earth, or they haven't heard the phrase enough that it's, like, up there kinda thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the one thing I definitely had a complaint about. It's like, I don't know. This was obviously a big deal. Obviously, that's why they were hiding Gardner from the news. Um, but nobody seems to know about this program for some reason. Even such a big deal. Been going on for 16 years, stuff like that.
I know,
So
it's so weird. It's like they're not teaching you this in class. They just kind
yeah,
of brushed over the thought after like they sent those people up.
but hey, that's American public school education. Skipping over some
Honestly, you ain't
things.
wrong.
but but yeah, no. And I did like this little argument, like her finally, actually questioning him and stuff like that. So
Yeah, she's got many questions.
hello.
Hello, Zara. Welcome in.
Oh,
Oh, we're in the middle of talking about the space between.
If you
okay,
need a
okay.
small recap, I can do a small recap.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Also,
Okay.
congrats on affiliate.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Very excited. Oh, but thank you.
Okay, where'd that stop? Oh yeah, during this whole like, even though they're bonding, trying to get away with these cars and stuffs, um, we do see like a cutback into like what Nathaniel and Kendra are doing. They also have their own little argument where they find out Gardner has an issue with his heart being too big. It's something with a T word of like there's too many of this in him. He's going to have trouble. He's not going to be able to live down here on earth cuz it's putting a lot of pressure on his already too big of a heart and his frail body.
It was like Tropolin. I don't know if it's an actual
Yeah.
body.
Big,
I didn't
smart
research.
words. But yeah, that's happening while they're still doing their little road trip. That second scene, this is the one that you requested, where it's the Costco scene.
It's
It's like, I will say it's interesting how
the one
in
that
the
says unable to
beginning.
play, the one that's aired
Oh,
out.
don't tell me that.
It's okay.
Is it?
It's fine. It's just a little. This is just like I'll explain the scene.
Okay.
This one. So basically, what's happening in this, after they steal another car. They steal a truck this time, and they're like driving around in that. But they end up going to uh, it. It's bad framing. I don't know if Sam's Club looks like Costco. I've never been to Sam's Club. But they clearly
I
go
would
into a
think so.
because they clearly go into a Costco, but the way they frame it at the start of the scene is that they pull up to Sam's Club. Like it clearly boldly says Sam's Club, but it's clearly a Costco. But so they go in and it's like a little shopping montage. They got they get sleeping bags. They get like lanterns, everything that they can do for camping. So obviously they're on their run. They're not stop somewhere, pay for a hotel room or something like that. But it's just a nice little scene, and then they also take some clothes. So now Gardner's finally in clothes that fit him. Trish has like a new dress, which looks really cute. And during this time, Gardner like goes to the bathroom, stuff like that, and that's going on. So finds like a piano. It's early in the movie. It says how she wants to run away and be a part of music. So the scene obviously basically plays like a little song. Gardner stays back and like listens to the song and tells her how good she is, stuff like that. It's just a nice little scene. We'll move on to the third clip. Obviously,
This third clip is like one of my favorites just because of how cheesy it is. But that's just me liking like rom-com stuff. They have a moment. It's funny and cute. And this
it
is more into how different um Tulsa and Gardner is. Like how I said, Gardner's very straightforward with how he sees and feels about things. And even Tulsa says something of like, if people just said what they were feeling to who they were like liking, everyone would be. She pauses and says happy, and then she's like even confused at what she just said.
you
It's like everyone has walls and guards, no one's true, whatever, whatever. You see both sides of a coin that they've been introduced to.
it definitely is a scene. I'll click play because talk over. It is just a nice little scene. Also, this is the first time Gardner's ever driven before.
You're so beautiful.
Apparently he's good at it. Actually, no, he drives the buggy up in Mars.
Yeah.
He
Right,
just
right.
drove it recklessly while he was up there, but
Yeah.
But I do think you're beautiful.
I do like I like that she's all like play it cool. Like I think a lot of
I
people play.
know.
I think a lot of people play it cool and then lose out on chances. It's very.
They do. It's like sometimes there's a need for it, sometimes there's not.
There's a difference. Secondly, people don't go around saying what they feel whenever they feel it. They have guards and shields and other metaphors.
Why?
I just like seeing both sides of how they see the world.
Trying to be something that we're not. And if we all went around just declaring our innermost desires to the exact people we
And
felt
the
like
fact she's getting all flustered by everything
something.
is funny.
It is very. But yeah, I think they both
Gardner,
valid like that. Obviously,
I think I'm beautiful.
being open and honest with people, very sweet. It's very nice to do.
Last thing I'm gonna do is actually tell you.
But then there's also
You just did.
have been open, get hurt, so they stuff like that. That's
So
obviously what Toll says.
relatable.
Yeah. There is a definitely a it's nice to be open to people that you love and trust and that, but also to be opening yourself up.
Yeah. It's like another phrase I like that they did was how she was saying, um, yes, I have a good time with you. I like that you said that I'm beautiful, stuff like that. But then she ended it with, but I'm not gonna tell you that. And then the funny like you just did. It's like, yeah, she was explaining how kind of in her head, like that's how it is kind of thing. People don't always want to say what they're feeling, but like she is feeling that. And if she didn't have to explain it to him, that's kind of how the situation would have gone. Like, yeah, she's enjoying it. She likes that he thinks she's beautiful. She just didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah. And after this, hand on her like that. When I
I
saw
freaking
that,
love that part, and the
when
fact
that,
that he asked, like, 2 hands on the wheel, cause like, that was his little, "Is this okay?" kinda thing, or, "Are you gonna tell me no again?"
mhm,
And she was like, "No, no, you're fine." All, like, this shy, like, "You're fine, you can leave your hand there," and I was like, "This kicking my feet and making me giggle, that's cute."
I was just so like, man, he's playing it fast. He's already like holding onto her leg and everything like that while
Oh, yeah,
driving.
definitely.
But yeah, we can go into the last clip. And do you, Sarah, do you have to say about the last couple clips? Sorry, I haven't been.
Uh,
Nothing to add.
yeah.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. Should I
Yeah,
just
you
make
did
sure?
it.
I just want to make sure everybody gets their moment to talk. Oh, and please interrupt if you got something. know.
Of
Okay,
course.
the last clip, this is when Tulsa finally like here's the twist of the movie. She finally realizes this boy ain't lying to her cuz I believe they arrive in Vegas cuz that's where like a clue they had told him to go to, and Tul Tulsa like trying to show the ropes to Gardner like this is this place and this place cuz Vegas has like all those miniature monuments, I guess, of, like, different areas,
Yeah,
and
the
Gardner's just kind of overwhelmed, probably even having a panic attack. So many lights, so many noises, everything is, like, happening so quickly. It's like, I think he even gets a little not delusional, but he starts saying these things of, like, trying to comfort Tulsa in the way of saying, like, "None of this is real, but we are," kinda thing. I found it very interesting how that's how he was seeing it, like, because he's so overwhelmed, he's trying to cling on to the one thing that is real with him, since he's still so new to everything on Earth.
yeah, I think when he was saying that stuff, it is not delusional. He was just getting lightheaded, having a very so he's losing blood, and I'm sure his heart wasn't pumping as hard as
Yeah.
heart is like basically enlarged because of gravity. And
He was born with an enlarged heart.
yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. But yeah, because of him, like, having this whole spell happening, he ends up fainting, they have to go to the hospital, and only then until when, like, the doctors requested a scan of him, and she's seeing all this stuff happening, she's like, "He wasn't lying." It's like, it's finally come full circle, hit her in the face, these are the facts, he is not normal, and he is from Mars.
Yeah, and it's funny that it actually takes her this long to like um
I know.
because at this point in the movie the only clue that they had to so the big point is they're trying to find his father. And the only clue that they had was a ring that his uh mother had. So they go, and it's from this Native American tribe that like marries people. So it's like very like unique and stuff like that. So they go to the shaman's house that did the ceremony, and um, that's how they get the dress for his father's place. And so that's what they're driving to. But yeah, no. At this point, they've already slept together because they. So it's funny that it takes her this like she's still not believing him fully, but she fully sleeps with him. Um, which I don't know, is funny to me. But we'll start the clip. Obviously, what we were talking about.
Yeah, it's the whole
What's his name?
hospital scene,
Gardner.
her realizing, and then even after all this, Gardner's still very headstrong, and he wants to go find his dad that he had seen in this video with his mom. And like you said, that's where they meet the shaman about the ring, because that's like the only clue they had at the time.
Look at this.
But because of the shaman, they actually get an intro. So that's what.
Yeah. It's the whole reason they're in Vegas, because they had to go to California, where the address was, go to this beach house, and find the man in the video. So this picture that Gardner has.
So the funny part about the Vegas thing is watching them. She said Paris. She was like Paris, something and something else. I'm all like, damn, they're gonna visit, like they're gonna fly to a bunch of places. Does he have enough time for that? And then immediately went to Vegas. I'm all like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So like, oh yeah, forget Vegas, of course.
It's like Vegas has all the little monuments that they built. It's like you can visit the whole world here without having to actually go.
At New York, which actually has like a roller coaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I've never been on it because that would terrify me. Because I think it goes. I believe there's a real. I could be completely wrong. I think there is. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, obviously there's Paris or whatever, Eiffel Tower. There's a few other throughout it. So
hmm
the there we go. I think this is the last set of clips.
Yes, it is. This is when we're getting closer to the ending. It's like a subtitle I put was a almost death and a farewell. Should put multiple farewells because that's basically what it is. It's like after everything, after Tulsa helps Gardner escape yet another hospital. This is two hospitals in a movie that he escaped. Crazy how this security works.
I will say the funny thing about that second hospital is nobody put like a guard or anything on his room because they already knew they were like stolen stuff. Like they were clearly on the run, I believe.
Yeah.
So kind of funny.
Uh yeah, they steal another car at this hospital. Some fancy looking car convertible top kind of thing. And they finally make it to this beach house where they confront the man that they believed as Gardner's father, who at first was like, "Who are y'all? Why are you here? How can I help you?" And then that's when Gardner gives him the photo of his mom and him in this photo, and he's like, "Where did you get this?" You can see in this man's face, he's starting to break because this is like crazy to him. He's like, "There's no way this could be happening 16 years after like she's already gone. How does this teenager get this kind of photo?" Because I think he also knows that this photo video was in a USB that only the mom had and her belongings up there.
Yeah.
So this dude feels like he's being pranked or punked or whatever. And he's like, you have to be, you're the man in the video. You have to be my father. And like that's when he definitely feels he's being pranked because again, in Gardner's head, he only saw a video of his mom with a man looking very happy in this beach house. So he very much believed that this man was his father. And that's when like Tulsa gets a little upset that this man is trying to like kick them out or call the police on and that's when Tulsa finds out that even though it's not his father, it is someone related to his mom. It's her brother, so Gardner's uncle. But even during that whole dispute, Gardner like slips away and goes towards the water. Because in the beginning, we are told by Kendra that the mom's ashes was spread across the ocean, so water in general. He's like, my mom is here. I could. It's like I couldn't choose the place I was born, but I can choose where I die. Because kid can tell he's like on his last strings. He is not holding up. And like
And
even Tulsa's trying to convince him, like, no, you can't do this. You gotta stay with me. And they have this cute little moment in the water. They do a kiss, hug, they're talking, and then he drops into the water and Tulsa's freaking out. That's what that first clip is. It's a crazy moment.
and so the fight is when I watched the movie first time. Uh, the the video of the brother and his mother. When I first said it or like watched it, I brought up how she throws the towel back down onto the beach after they go up all those stairs. I'm like, that's an asshole thing to do. And then I got to this point, and it turns out to be his uncle. I'm all like, oh yeah, no, I guess that makes sense. It's more siblings messing with each other than than actual like, oh, we're in love. Because I'm all like, that's kind of a mean thing to do to a person you're dating and loving. So
Yeah.
See you in the funny papers.
yeah, the
Such a
funny
cute
person.
moment. I
That's
know the
very
fact that he said that, that's when it was like, damn, you're using her phrase on her like that.
yeah. On the last time you think you're gonna see her, it's kind of a dick move right there.
It's like, I
Uh,
get you trying to be funny, but this is a serious moment. You are dying, and she doesn't want you to die. And then the fact that he's probably heavy for her to pick up, and he's just kind of like in the water, and she's struggling to get him back up. It's like we do see a little later in the movie, um, Nathaniel, uh, he after he finds out that the kids went to see the shaman and that they're headed to Los Angeles, that's when he's like, I know where they're going. And I'm gonna guess that's how he ends up saving Gardner's life because he knew the location, so he was able to get there in time to help Tulsa get Gardner out of the water and save this kid.
very sweet. Stuff like
It was this old man is like bawling and stressing himself. It's like I couldn't find a clip of it, but they have a little moment where like after they pull Gardner out of the water, they have him on the sand trying to like get him awake and breathing again. Um it's a little funny to me the first question or thing Gardner says when he's like finally conscious again. He's like, "What was she like?" Asking Nathaniel about the mom. And then Nathaniel with his answer, like I think the last thing he says, that's when Gardner pieces everything together that it was actually Nathaniel who is his daddy. Is it's just a full circle of like the way Nathaniel worded how the mom was kind, she was fearless. He thought she was like, or she seemed like she was invincible. And then the phrase he says, the day she died, she made me want to stop living. And I was like, damn.
and earlier in the movie. once they find out that space and all that, he talks about, or Nathaniel talks about how he wants to go. He's like, I will go take care of this child. Stuff like send me send me on the next thing. And they don't want to send Nathaniel because he has, I think, a tumor or something in his head, on his brain. They didn't how gravity and stuff and like G force of the rocket would affect him, so they never let him. And obviously now, once you get to this point, it's it, like, he's his father and everything like that. It explains a lot more. So bad up there, he's all like, "My son, that is my son. I want to take care of him, be with him."
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Sad moment. It's like
it was
even then, it's like they're having this little talk, and then Gardner passes out again, and now they're rushing to get him in like a little shuttle ship to get him up in the sky, because that's where they're thinking like if they can get him as close to like out of our atmosphere, he can come back, kind of thing. It's like, and since you mentioned the thing about Nathaniel's tumor, in that moment when they're in that ship trying to get him to like wake up again, they weren't high enough. And so Nathaniel was like, F this, I'm gonna do it myself. And he even makes a little joke of just make sure to take over if one of us knocks out, stating that like he probably could knock out or die in doing this move of like getting this shuttle literally out of Earth's atmosphere just so that Garner can wake up again and get back to normal and stable like vitals, kind of thing. That's what that whole second clip is. It's their little meeting.
they make it up into the atmosphere. Surprisingly, Nathaniel doesn't die. Neither is Gardner.
No.
Whole little scene of him asking like, are we on my planet or yours? And I was like, that's literally probably that whole reason the movie is called The Space Between. It's like, I would probably show someone that clip if they're like, why is it called this? I'm like, this is probably why.
You have to go back.
It's a whole sad farewell of like, you have to go back. You can't stay anymore.
No. You have to go back.
I love you, Tulsa.
Such a tearful part.
I love you.
Mwah.
I just think it's funny, cute, awkward that they're doing this with zero gravity because it looks awkward to be held like that.
Yeah, you know, they just be like, "Woo." Uh, but yeah, no. At the final moments, the Gardner and Nathaniel survive.
Yeah, and then like end scene is you see Nathaniel and Gardner making their way back up to Mars because Gardner needs to be up there to survive. And now that they know that Nathaniel was perfectly fine doing this whole risky move with this small shuttle, they're like, okay, fine, he can go up with his kid. So they both make it up there. We find out later that Kendra had retired. She doesn't have to go back up in Mars again, but she is the head like person in the space training program. And it's funny, we do get a little scene where she jokes of, now that I'm retired, I apparently have all this money. So I bought this ranch house. And she's talking to Tulsa. I'm like, and it gets lonely there. So would you like to live with me? And then Tulsa, having like been used to the life of only being adopted for like checks and stuff, because apparently that's what the system is. Like, you adopt this kid, we'll give you checks every so often.
Yeah, that's
And she's
foster care
like, I
system.
get out in like a month. She's like, no one said anything about a month. She's like, I fully intend to like adopt you under my care. You don't have to ever leave, kind of thing. And then we also get the scene of Tulsa is now training in said program to go up and be with Gardner. And I was like, that's a cute little happy ending. Everybody is where they want to be. Not yet, but they're making their way to it. It's like all happy in their respective areas.
I just clicked A, so this is the longest clip out of all of them.
Nice
So.
ride.
But yeah, it's definitely adorable just seeing them.
Yeah.
I was saying when I watched this movie, I was like, why don't they just send her up now? Just like make room for her. But I get that there's like a whole lot of different like
Gotta get used
protocol
to
and
it,
stuff.
all the training.
Yeah,
You just
but
It's like it would have been funny if they did. It's like totally it never
Sure,
can
like, see ya.
happen. It's like your
I
body
mean-
probably gonna stop functioning in a few ways because it's like the shock of change.
yeah. Well, it's just that thing where it's like, they've already broken plenty of things. Like in the scene where they're in the little shuttle, like trying to get Gardner up into space.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They have like an Air Force Marine or something like that flying the plane, and Nathaniel's all like, "We need to go higher. We need to get out of the atmosphere."
It's like that's not in our protocol, sir. It's
Yeah.
like, well, fine, then I'll do it.
Yeah, I thought that scene was funny. Like, obviously it was a very emotional moment, but I thought it was just funny him being all like, yeah, that's against every protocol we have, and Nathaniel's just all like, fine, I'll do it, and the Air Force guy does not give up, like, do anything about it. He's all like, yeah, I don't care. He doesn't resist. He doesn't say,
Yeah.
no, you're not supposed to.
You have a
He's
visit.
just all like, yep, I'll do it myself. Okay, cool.
It's just it's like even though this movie is not genred as like a funny movie, there is many funny parts in this movie.
Hey. Hi.
Yeah. That is how so
So as you probably
obviously
know,
the foster care system does
well, I'm not
uh,
I'm
they're-
running their training
have like
program.
foster homes, so they like
Great.
take in a bunch of
I mean,
kids and they get paid to do that.
plan has been a little
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm getting off track.
But yeah. Obviously, if you
I just liked
adopt,
how awkward that interaction was.
I know, right?
It turns out I actually
She's like, she's not used to talking to people, I guess, and she's like, do you just want to come live with me?
I like to ski and
Yeah.
people are really nice. Yeah, it's a pretty big house. Gets
But yeah,
lonely at times.
overall, had a happy
Would you
ending.
like to come live with me there?
Wasn't too bad of a movie to me. I liked it.
Yeah, no,
Are you
liked
getting
it.
paid
Good.
to take me?
Yeah. I think if you adopt, you have to actually pay money
'Cause I ate
adopting a
in
kid.
month.
But I think if you're just fostering,
Something about only a month.
I don't know the foster system too much.
I don't either. I've seen a lot of movies where they've been foster care, and that's usually what happens. So I'm gonna just take that as gospel. Look at her run. Look at her run in circles.
She training. And you see Mama there training her adopted kid. It's like, you want to go up so bad, we gotta get you ready.
It turns out the people from Earth want
Isn't it great that you can just like bring somebody into the program just because you're the head of it?
Probably.
so far.
Shouldn't have to wait so long.
I don't know.
Yeah, she didn't have to actually apply. She's all like, oh no, I'm gonna go see a boyfriend, maybe husband, or whatever. I get married beforehand. It was nice that Nathaniel could go and they're up there. Yeah. Just a nice little scene.
Mm-mm.
So, final thoughts on the movie as a whole? What do you guys think?
Well, I didn't get to actually watch the movie, so now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because it seems very interesting.
It is very interesting.
Did
Like
it?
Trey said, it's a lot of genres thrown into it, even though it's only classified as maybe like 3 genres in its thing whenever you look it up. a lot is happening. You got the rom com, you got some funnies, you got some action. I think you said some mystery of like this kid's trying to find his father, and no one knows uh, any information about it.
Throwing a
You
red
got your
herring in there.
sci-fi of all the space stuffs.
And our future laptops where we're going to be able to see through it. I enjoyed it. I think it was, like I said, when I first Googled the movie, I saw the reviews and they were not great. So I went in here thinking, okay, this might not be that good of a. Came out of it and was like, it's all right. It's all right. It's a enjoyable movie, which I think that's the only thing a movie needs to do is entertain you and give you some enjoyment. So if it can do that, I say it's an A+.
True, true.
Nina, I know you didn't enjoy it. Want to give us your final thoughts on the movie?
Well, personally, I would just remove the romance from it and make it more of a friendship-focused movie with them, but everything else was okay enough.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of people do enjoy it when it's just like a friendship. I totally. Cool. Everyone good. Speak now, forever hold your. All right,
Good.
and that was the space between. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. Then now we're moving on to Spirited Away, which I think a lot of people have
One of
seen
my
and
personal
enjoy.
favorites.
Yep. I could be wrong, but probably the most popular studio. I don't exactly say it. Movie. Um, because I think it is the most popular because I've heard probably more about this than any other, besides maybe Total. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I was gonna say it might
So
be like a tie between this one and like Howl's Moving Castle.
I was gonna say I have heard a lot about that one.
okay. Let's face it. Hayao Miyazaki movies are all great. Everyone's at least probably heard of at least one, and yeah. So, but yeah, no. So we're gonna be watching. Well, we did watch Spirited Away. This movie was released on August 31st, 2002.
Damn, a
Yeah,
whole year before I even existed.
2 years old. Yeah. So Google ask because I went to the slide. I watched this in English. What did you guys watch? I watched this with the English cast. What did you guys watch this?
I've
English.
watched English and I've watched with the original like Japanese voice actors.
English myself.
Okay. I think that's kind of like the most common, at least in America, to watch it. These ones, the easier ones to find in America. So we will be talking about mostly. I'm just gonna say this now. There's not many clips of this movie on YouTube, so I literally could only find one. That was it. So we got pictures, and we're just gonna talk about the story. Uh, so please interrupt whenever you guys have anything to say, because obviously I don't want to just be the only one describing the movie, thing like that. So get started. We'll talk about the important characters. Also, I should say Wolfie always does an amazing job with these slides. So basically, I just based my slides off of hers. Uh, so we're gonna start with the important characters. First off, we have Chihiro, who is in the top left. She's the lead girl who must work in the bathhouse to stay alive in the spirit world. She is voiced in the English cast by Devay Chase, which the most notable voice acting role she has, besides obviously Chihiro, she was in a little Disney film called Lilo and Stitch, and
Oh, really?
she voiced Lilo.
Oh, that's so cool.
Damn.
Yes, so she is the voice of Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. Uh, Figured that was a big thing I should say because obviously it's important. Um, yeah. Next we have Haku, who's a mysterious boy who helps Chihiro secretly while working for Yubaba. And he is voiced by Jason Marsden, uh, who's known for playing Richie in Static Shock, if any of you guys have seen that old cartoon. Assume not.
I
If
have
Yeah,
no,
I can't say that I have.
so that one, I'll just say is very influential, like animated, because it's like he's one of the most, Static Shock is like one of the most well known African American superheroes. So, and but basically Jason Marsden voiced the white best friend to Static Shock. Uh, and he was also Max Goof in every iteration of that. I think a little bit less important, but yeah. So
Did not know that.
he voices Max Goof from a Goofy movie, an extremely Goofy movie, and also The House of Mouse, which was a great show. If any of you guys have seen that, yeah. After that, we have Yubaba, who's the owner of the bathhouse and an evil witch who doesn't like humans. She is voiced by Suzanne Lesheet. I don't know any important roles for her. I kind of only Googled Chihiro and Haku's voice actors because I heard their voices and remembered them from something. And then next we have Kamaji, the boiler man who provides the magical water for the bathhouse, and he's voiced by
favorite.
he's voiced by David Ogden Steers. Once again, I don't know any other things he was in, but I'm pretty sure everyone in this cast has voiced other things. And then last but not least, I put in Lynn. She gets put in charge of Chihiro and shows her how the bathhouse works. And she is voiced by Susan Egan. That is the important characters that I put in. Is there any others that I sure as hell forgot?
No Face, probably.
Yeah, we do have No Face, who's a creature in in this spiritual world. But yeah, he's just like a spirit monster thing, kind of thing in the movie. I guess the only other one would be Bo, who I've just call Big Baby because he's a baby. And Big Baby is voiced by Tara Strong, which she has done a million things. She voiced in the Powerpuff Girls, if I remember. She voiced in basically any childhood show you probably watched. Tara Strong at least voiced one person in them. Obviously, she was. Yeah, she also voiced Timmy Turner and a million other things, I believe. Don't quote me on that because my memory is not working 100% at the moment, but yeah.
And then my favorite character is the Susu Watari, the soot sprites.
Oh yeah. I did it. Sadly, I did not add those because they're cute, but they're not most important. I guess they don't they aren't for the plot. But don't worry, I add them in the pictures or the gifs for quick story summary. I didn't add any like dialogue, but I added cute gifs. Basically, quick story summary. It follows a girl named Chihiro who gets her and her parents get trapped in the spirit world. Basically, to survive, she has to work at the bathhouse that's in this spirit world, and In doing so, she is trying to figure out a way to free uh, her and her parents and to go back to the human. Yeah. Any other comments, concerns?
I just
We
like
can go on. I
it's
think.
Ghibli art. It's so cute and
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. I do. The sit sprites are definitely adorable as hell. I like that they eat like star candy, and then of course, Phoenix showed up halfway through when I was watching this. Uh, his favorite character, the big mouse and little bird. I added a gift for that as well. Yeah. So we'll move on. Like I said, I don't have clips, so sadly, we're just gonna be talking about. Hope you can. So to start off, this movie starts off like a horror movie. All right. So Chihiro and her family are moving to a new town, and on the way to their new house, end up taking a wrong turn. While driving, they come across an abandoned building. They check it out and are surprised to smell food, so her parents sit down to eat, while Chihiro goes off on her own to look around, running into Boy Aku. So, this really does just feel like a horror movie, like the start of a horror movie. Got the abandoned building that the main characters go into. You got just, oh hey, here's some random food that's ain't about. They also take a wrong turn and go down like this dirt road and thing. So it just feels like a horror movie to me when it starts out. Yeah. I know that was a very quick summary of the movie, but obviously we'll be talking about parts of so. Thoughts, concerns?
To
I'll
be
be honest,
honest,
as a kid,
oh,
you get first.
I was just gonna say, listen, when I was younger, when it was at the scene with the parents eating all the food, I used to be like, that food looks so good. I mean, I still think that now, but I used to want every single thing that they were eating.
They just draw it so well, and I want to eat it and munch it.
So
It looks delicious.
you guys would be drawn into the appeal to eat the and then turn into
This
pigs.
sounds like a Hansel
Yeah.
and Gretel situation.
And yeah, it does. I mean,
It's
it's a
like they go to
ginger.
the house of candy
I mean,
and they
come
start
on,
eating.
lad. And didn't put it in my little description, but when Chihiro runs into Haku, basically what happens is that he tells her she needs to leave. She's all like, "Oh crap! All right, I'll get out of here." She goes back to where her parents are, and her parents are turned into pigs, literal pigs. It's terrifying.
Damn.
Terrifying as all hell. I'm really sad that I couldn't find any on YouTube. I'm sorry I didn't. I could have screen captured and all. That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot to do, and it takes time.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, so she runs, and basically her parents have been turned into pigs. Then you realize that what they were eating, one of the things that they were eating is pig.
Cannibalism.
Yeah. So, like I said, this movie just starts out horror movie. It has all the same beats of it, which is interesting. And really, if you could definitely make this grow to the movie. Like you can cut it up and make it into a horror trailer or something like that. Um, but yeah, so basically, parents have been turned into pigs. She freaks out and tries to run away, but she sees that path that her and her parents walked down has turned into a giant like lake. So like she cannot get across it. Um, and like there's like this boat and stuff that's coming in, like coming her side, and she starts to freak out because she starts to basically fade away, being see through. So, what did you guys think of like Grove?
Definitely, I can see that horror little aspect of like they're just wandering into this place and then randomly eating food at this abandoned looking shop.
Yeah, I don't know how many horror movies I've seen start off very close to that. The food is like sometimes there, but just go wandering into an abandoned place just because is that's like the textbook horror movie. Someone's about to take out the chainsaw type thing.
Yeah,
One
it's
of my
like even
first
with the food thing. Go ahead.
one of my first impressions, like during this part of the beginning of the movie, so I was just like, is Chihiro the only person in her family that has any common sense? Because
Honestly,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone into the building, but I also wouldn't have just sat down at some random stall to just start eating food, and it's just abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. It's like you don't know what that food's been through. What if it's
Yeah.
poisoned and you just started
Right.
eating?
Or you eat it and then you turn into a you never
Reminds
know.
me of the not Pokemon, Pinocchio movie that came out.
Yeah.
How they were drinking that beer or whatever. Then they turned to donkeys.
Yep.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
very reminiscent of Pinocchio. Well, this was, as we know, produced, I think, or something by. I don't know if it was produced or published by Walt Disney or Disney. At least when it first came out. So obviously, we gotta talk about the style. Art style is beautiful. Hayao Miyazaki, distinct, I would say. Uh,
Mhm.
and knows what he wants when it comes to stories. So
Mm. The color palettes too, I think, are always just immaculate. He's so good at color palettes.
yeah, no, he
Mhm.
definitely. Even just looking at literally the pictures on the screen, every place is like distinct, has their own scheme, has their own time, stuff like that. Whereas a lot of other and stuff to save on the probably let go copy paste, well, not copy and paste, not in this day and age, but would try and do the same thing just to like rush it out, stuff like that way. That way it's easier. He like takes the time, make sure everyone has like everything has like a distinct for it stuff. So, any other final thoughts on the intro before this will
Um,
probably this probably will go faster than the space between our notes, but any any final thoughts? Sorry about that, Wolfie. I cut you off.
it's just freaky that this girl all by herself, like you said, she's the only one that I guess that's got common sense, and now she's like freaking out because of everything that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. No. She definitely she has kind of the common sense. She has the sense not to eat the food, but then she also just wanders off. Just not the best idea.
Right.
Hmm.
But yeah, no. Like I said, she meets this boy Haku, and basically, but go on to the next thing. Chihiro meets the Boiler Man. So after being saved by Haku, Chihiro must sneak through the bathhouse to meet the strange boy so that he can give her a job. Doing so will save Chihiro from for a while, since she will be an employee of the bathhouse. But when meeting Boiler Man does not accept giving her a job, so she must find a way. So basically, and to go into more detail, The way Haku saves Chihiro, basically, after she notices that path that they've come is like filled with water, there's no way she can get across, and she sees that she's turning into a ghost, just like in the picture, coming see through, stuff like that. Haku basically brings her like this little, like, it looks like a bead, it's probably like a little bit of candy. Yeah. Because so basically to stay in this world, she needs to eat something. But Haku but obviously if you eat something, you turn into a pig. So Haku like has special things to eat, little things to eat that won't turn you. So that's what he feeds her to like first not be see through. And then he also helps her by her to the bathhouse. And they have to cross the bridge secretly. She can't be like spirits can't see her at this point for some I don't know the reason why. But when they're crossing the bridge over to the bathhouse, she has to hold her breath because one breath will be seen. At the
Crazy.
so at the last possible second, she takes a breath because I mean, I would be able to bridge holding my breath. I don't know. I've tried. Whenever you try to think about holding your breath, thought of it like usually makes it that you want to take a breath. Um, but she gets seen by exactly one spirit. It's like this little frog. Um, sounds the alarm. Aku basically takes her to a side garden. Um, and everybody's searching for Haku, so he has to leave. Tells Shihiro to go down these stairs, rickety stairs. Go to the boiler room. The boiler man job. She has a job, and Yubaba, the witch, can't turn pig or employee. Yeah, so that's kind of what happens. See.
Man, that frog is such a snitch. That's all I can say.
It's like
He
out of
is.
everybody, it was a tiny ass frog.
Yep. Who would have guessed the frog is the snitch? But yeah, no.
This is the
So.
official frog review.
But yeah, no. But once again, story wise, it keeps you kind of get like I don't have very good Japanese. Only a little bit that I've seen in anime and stuff like that. And never say for sure if that's right or. But I think Hayao Miyazaki does laying down what the foundation real. Don't need to know all the different spirits or anything like that or like what they mean or what they then or it's just like she's trying to survive. That's it. I think he does a very good job.
I agree.
Say that bridge slaying very long, at least from the movie, seems like it's really long. I don't know if I'd be able to hold my breath that long.
Uh, I wouldn't. I could for sure say I could not do that. Like I was saying, like once you have to do something, like it's the same thing uh like saying you can't move or you can't like itch something. Like as soon as you say that, whatever happens, oh, it's all like, hey, don't scratch a bug bite or don't itch a bug bite. Makes it work. As soon as that happens,
Oh,
bug bite just starts to
definitely.
itch. And so, for me at least, that would be me trying to cross the bridge and be like, okay, cool, I gotta hold my breath as we cross this. Got it. And then I would just be like, I'm thinking about it, thinking about it. I would definitely take a breath. I would not be able to make it. So, but yeah. But yeah, so basically, uh, she goes down these very rickety stairs, literally like on the side of the building, which is funny. No safety rails. It's old as crap. Like literally, if she takes a step at one point, like she's slowly going down the stairs, and then one of them breaks. So she has to like rush down the stairs because she's scared. So, and that's just like to get to the boiler room. And then once she finally does, she meets the nice, well, you don't know he's nice, Boiler Man. She seems like very hard, not giving a job or anything. But, and he also is a little creepy because he has the 6 arms, extend them as far as he wants. So, yeah. Thoughts on this part of the movie? Things I've missed? I'll probably be asked that a lot. Sorry.
That's perfectly fine.
Her actually getting to the boiler room is just one of my favorite parts because Kamaji is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. It is very nice. And it's actually tense because, like, I don't know how you guys do it with heights and stuff like that, but I'm not the best with heights. So, I totally get how she feels because I've had dreams where, like, I'm, like, high up somewhere. And, when she starts going down the stairs, she's literally, like, sitting on her butt, putting her, like, feet down and, like, slowly going step by step. I totally get that. I've had dreams where yeah, I've like had dreams where like so high up or whatever, so I literally just like step by step slowly. Uh, so I totally understand. And then the instant it breaks, she just rushes down because she's like, okay, I can't. Nope.
It's like I can't keep doing this. Let's just rip the band-aid and go.
Let's just get it over with.
Well, it's funny too because when she gets there, she runs into a wall. That's how she stops. Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh no, my mic just does that sometimes.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. But yeah, so that's her meeting the Boiler Man. Which actually, this movie is 2 hours long. It doesn't feel like it at times. It does a good job saying and stuff like that. Move on to the next thing. This is the one clip I could find. This is the only clip I find on YouTube that wasn't like some weird, like someone put music over it or someone's talking over it type thing. So this was it. But anyway, so Chihiro meets Yubaba. After seeing how hard Chihiro will work to get a job, the Boilerman introduces Chihiro to a woman who works in the bathhouse. So the Boilerman has Lin take Chihiro to meet Yubaba. But to do that, they must sneak through the bathhouse without getting caught by anyone. Chihiro will or turned into a pig. I wasn't entirely sure. I think it was she would be killed. Maybe someone who has seen this movie a little bit more. Is she gonna get killed if she gets caught?
I thought it was just turn into an animal.
Yeah.
I think they're just obsessed with turning humans into animals.
Well, I mean, if she gets turned into a pig, she will be killed, is kind of the implication. But we'll get into that after this scene.
True.
But yeah, so basically what happens is, the soot sprites that we saw, they're basically Maji's helpers, the boy, and they're the ones that like grab, pull, throw it into the fur. One point, one of soot sprites gets like a piece of coal that's too big, uh basically starts crushing him. So Hero comes in and like, starts picking it up off of him and basically does his job for the soot sprite. So because he did that, the boy recognized how hard she like sees what she wants to do. Like she clearly wants a job. He understands why she wants to save herself. Yeah, but I will say I don't think it's in this clip, but after she throws in the charcoal of that one spirit or soot sprite, all the others put soot sprites pretend to be crushed
Oh
and
my
basically want
goodness.
Chihiro to throw in the coal for them. And that's when Kamaji kind of gets mad because they're all like, don't do that for them, because if they don't do anything, they turn back into normal soot. Like the spell that he has on only works if they actually work. If they stop working, they just soot again. But yeah, and then basically what happens after that is Lin basically shows up in the boiler room delivering Kamaji his dinner, his food. Um, In doing so, she sees Chihiro, and then Kamaji basically is all like, "Hey, Lin, take her to see you, Baba, and get a job, Baba." So Lin reluctantly agrees to do it. Yeah, and that's what leads into the flip is them sneaking through to get to Baba. So, uh, basically Chihiro is standing behind Lin the whole time. There's this one spirit named the Radish Spirit. He's just like a big radish, I guess, but he follows them and stuff. He's adorable as all hell. I love the Radish Spirit. So, but yeah, and like they have to use like the stuff like that. So
I forgot about when the radish spirit goes inside of the elevator with them.
yeah,
It's just funny to me.
So
it is
tall
very
and fluffy.
What's that smell? It's human.
Lynn literally throwing her into the elevator so that she doesn't get caught. But I love this moment. I love, like, when I was watching it with Phoenix, I brought up how I love this moment because the Radish Spirit doesn't care that Chihiro, like, all the other spirits, like, basically want to get her killed. But the Radish Spirit is the only. So, like, I don't care.
He's just
I'll help you
vibing.
out. Just vibing. He's having a good time.
He is not a care or a thought behind those eyes.
Yeah. No. He just likes taking a bath. So, yeah. So, think of what the next. Okay, cool. But she basically is able to successfully get to Yubaba without worry. Basically, asks Yubaba for. So, anything that I'm missing from the scene? Any comments, concerns?
I don't think so.
Any anything you guys talk about this like scene?
I mean, me just gushing on the art again. The
Stuff.
the way they made Lynn look, I don't know, she's very pretty.
Yeah, she is very pretty.
Agreed.
I don't know why. I always like when I saw her. I think she just looks like an old version of Chihiro. I
I
don't
can
know.
see it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just all like, I don't know. Is this like a timeline thing where Chihiro gets stuck at the bathhouse and care of her the whole time? I don't know. But they definitely like. I think they designed her very much to look putting it.
I like the fact that the radish spirit just looks like he has a little red bowl on his head as a hat.
It's adorable. Dude's just vibing. He doesn't care. He doesn't need to see someone get killed. He's like, I'm fine. I'm just gonna vibe and take a bath.
Yeah, he's just trying to chill.
Unity, you got anything to say about this scene?
You guys already said everything, so
Okay.
got nothing to add.
Okay. Wanted
You just take the words out of my mouth after all.
We'll go on to the next one now. So, next one is titled "Your Hero Works the Bathhouse." So I'm gonna be condensing a whole lot of story in about 2 words, so I'm gonna have to talk about a lot. But basically, after getting a job, Kira must work in the bathhouse to survive. While she works, she secretly meets with Haku to figure out a way to save her parents. After cleaning the great water spirit, who was covered with junk and mud, Chihiro gets recognized and praised by, but unknown in a no-face, a monster who eats workers at the bathhouse. After some days, Haku shows up again, dragon form, badly hurt. Chihiro races to Yubaba's. That's a whole lot of story put together in some words, but we'll take it bit by bit. Basically, after makes it through the bath, like sneaking through the bathhouse, she goes into Yubaba's place, basically says, "I want a job." Baba basically is like, go away kind of thing, turn you into a pig. But Hero keeps on insisting, saying, "I want a job." Because of this, apparently there's a rule that Yubaba is under, which I think is some kind of spell, that makes it that if anyone comes to her and asks for a job, she has to give it to them. So that's how Chihiro gets a job at the bank. I liked that scene. Like, I like that scene. I
The
like that
fact she's
scene.
bound by a spell.
I I know it's like something close to that. I don't know if it's specifically a spell, but
Uh-huh.
um, but she has to give somebody. Um, and during, I guess I should also say, during this time, Chihiro has to sign a contract with Yubaba. Doing so, Yubaba basically takes Chihiro's name. I don't change it in the slides, but from this point on, she's called Sen. That's the name she goes by because her name was kind of taken away. And then in this scene, you don't see Big Baby, but you see Yubala talk to Big Baby. It's like all fussy and
Takes after the name.
any thoughts on the scene?
When I watched it as a child, I realized that I had a crush on Yubaba. So that was kind of
Yeah,
funny.
you've had a crush on Yubaba. That's actually right. What drew you to Yubaba?
Uh, her design and her hate of humans, really.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough.
I was like, I can fix her, guys.
uh, I like that. I like the her having to basically get. That's an interesting take, or that they had like that being like interesting happens with it. So, um, but yeah, Sarah Wolfie.
I was just gonna say it's kind of cool. This is a fun fact that I learned before, but apparently a lot of girls who are actually named Chihiro have the nickname Sen because it's the first kanji character in their name.
Got it. That's that. Well,
That is
yes,
an interesting fact.
it is very. Is in the movie. You're watching it. Basically, when she takes Chihiro's like only like 3 parts of her name off, but left. So that explains how
Yeah.
Sen. Okay,
Yep.
that's cool. I have I have no clue how kanji works. I have any bit of Japanese, so all I know is it's like kind of like blending two things together. It's kind of weird. I don't know kanji.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure Sen means like thousands or like a thousand or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, hey, it's nice to know that little fact. Um, I guess next point in this thing is basically after Chihiro gets a job from Yubaba, she meets with Haku secretly, because they can't openly go against Yubaba. Haku basically shows Chihiro where her parents are. They have a nice little talk in like sunflower, like a garden. I think it's like sunflowers are around them. But while there, Haku basically tells her to remember her name. I think he wrote it down for her so that she could remember. Longer that she's there, she'll forget her name. This contract. So she needs to remember. And in doing that, Haku also shows her big pen that her parents are hiding. Are not hiding. It's where they're cared for. Because they're pigs. This obviously spurs Chihiro into wanting to save them. If they're there too long, killed and basically be food again for them to show up. And so that's kind of like the force after that is, okay, I need to save my parents and all that. But she also has to do a good job at the bathhouse, obviously. But yeah, and I guess the only other thing to talk about, or for me to bring up, is the bathhouse works at night because obviously they're ghosts or like they're spirits. So basically, bathhouse is only open at night. During the day, everybody's asleep. So basically, during the day, they walk around, kind of thing. Ooh. Anything you wanna put in on that part?
Mm-mm.
I think so.
Totally fine. We got a lot. There's a lot to talk about. Once again, sorry everybody that's watching. Can't specifically show it, probably because of copyright stuff. But at least we can describe it. But yeah, so after Haku and her leads into first job, like first day working at. She gets paired with Lynn, is in charge of her no matter the whole time, and they get tasked with big bad. Send the cis stinky spirits. So while they're doing that, they're cleaning up this big bath. Find out that big bath that they're doing, grime stuff that's on it is too thick, that they need a ticket, which is like basically what they use to get the certain amount of water that they want, like the certain kind of water. So Chihiro gets sent to go get a ticket. The guy won't give it to her, but in the background of this whole thing, there's like this spirit that's been there following Chihiro with like this mask on, and no one, like, he's able to go and, but he basically steals her a ticket, throws it to Chihiro, so she's able to take it to, teaches her how to basically send it down to Boilerman Kaji and start to which is actually it's an interesting, yeah. Basic, and after she's taught how to send the water and all that, No-Face shows up again with a ton of those ticket things, and just hands them to Chihiro, and she's all like, "Oh no, I don't need them," but he's like insistently on trying to give it to her. So she just accepts them, and then right when that happens, uh, in walks very gross looking, stinky spirit. that's how they describe it in the movie as well. So he's stinky. And the whole bathhouse is all like, ugh, they can smell him for like so far away. None of them want to do anything, but they're not going to turn him away. So they send him. They have Chihiro take him to the big bath that she was already cleaning, and she basically helps him. So during this, she sends the water. It's all mud stuff. So she has to get, thankfully, because No Face sent more, like gave her more tickets, she was able to get more water. And in doing so, basically like kind of flooding this section of the bathhouse, she notices trying to like cleaning the spirit, she knows that there's something stuck in him. So her and everybody in the bathhouse, like all the other workers, help pull off this thing out of the spirit. And it turns out to be like a whole landfill of bicycles. There's soccer nets, there's signs and stuff. But because of this, she finally like the spirit's all clean. And all of them think it's like some kind of spirit. I don't know. I don't remember what the name of the spirit was. But because of that, Chihiro helping them out, they find out gross spirit actually river spirit, very powerful spirit. So she like is able to clean the spirit. And after that happens, they all notice that there's gold that the spirit left behind in all the junk. So they're able to. So basically, they made a big payday. And yeah, and Chihiro gets like recognized and like applauded and praised for her help with, even by Yubaba. That was a long description. It kind of was needed to be said. What were your guys' thoughts on the scene?
It was kind of cute, not gonna lie. It was
Yeah.
like a very wholesome one.
It is very nice seeing her work hard, even if she's being forced to. Sarah, Wolfie, had?
And was like how you said they got her to do like the most dirtiest jobs or whatever. She still worked hard no matter like what they threw at her. And then the fact with like they helped out on something they probably didn't need to do as much work on, and then they got the huge pay for it. That's like the kindness prevails kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very nice to work hard, do your best, even when you're paired with the bad job. But she was able to prove herself, which is very nice. Okay. Last little bit of this section. It's basically, it says I think it was actually only maybe a few days. Chihiro is basically still working and everything. Actually, I think it was only. While everybody is asleep, the frog guy shows up to bathhouse and notices that No Face is there, and No Face is able to just like produce gold at like from nothing, and so Frog is like very excited, starts to grab the gold, and then No Face eats the frog spirit, one that was ratting out Chihiro in the first place.
Dang.
Yeah.
It was on site.
But because of him eating the frog spirit, he was able to use frog spirits. So he's able to get another worker to come over, and doesn't eat this one. Just like keeps on producing gold. Basically, No Face makes that work wake up every other like employee at the bathhouse and basically cater to him, and
Damn.
yeah, so he but yeah, so basically he's like Star. They literally wake up, so it's during the daytime, but they wake up all the employees out sleep really, but they keep on getting so they don't. But yeah, also I guess I forgot to add, after cleaning the river spirit, river spirit left some or gave like this little to Chihiro. She doesn't know what it is or anything. Even like takes a bite of it at one point and it tastes disgusting. Uh, don't know why she did that. I don't know why that was her first instinct to do that, um, but yeah, and so during the day, Chihiro wakes up and notices everybody else is gone, but she notices that Aku, in his dragon form, uh, is flying through the sky. But she also sees that her like getting eaten up by like little paper uh talisman, and he comes crashing in, uh, blood everywhere. He helps him like basically get away from all those. He then escapes and goes up to like Yubaba's room. So Chihiro, being the kind person that I need to chase after him. I gotta make sure he's on. So she basically goes up to you, or she's now trying to find a way to his room to help Aku dying. Whew. That was a lot to explain. And that's a big chunk of the movie, but it needed to be explained. So, anything I missed or anything you guys specifically want to talk about? Aku.
You summed it up pretty well.
I think it's pretty cool that like this scene in particular is kind of a look at who or what Haku was before ending up at the bathhouse.
Yeah. It it was. It was you don't know at the moment, but he's still like helping Chihiro and stuff like that. That's why he like disappeared. Is it's interesting that he has like a dragon form.
Yeah.
And we will go into it. Yeah, no. So basically, Hiro is racing to to Yubaba's room to help him. And it. Anything else?
And Nachigera is just a kind soul helping anyone and everyone who won't try and eat her, basically.
Well, I mean, she also kind of helps people. We'll get into that in a second. So we'll go to
Some
the
of
next
it's
one.
to be kind, some of it's to survive.
Yep. So the next point, Hiro must go save Haku. After reaching Yubaba's room, Chihiro must hide from Yubaba, which makes her meet Yubaba's big baby. Once Yubaba Chihiro rushes to Haku, knowingly brings Yubaba's twin sister, Zeba, with her. Is mad at Haku stealing her seal, curses him while also turning Big Baby, his familiar, into a mouse and little bird. Hiro decides to go and return the seal to Zen. Oh, so yeah. Basically, that kind of explains what's going on. She makes it up to Baba's room. No Face is still off like eating people. I think she runs into him for like a quick second, but nothing really happens there. Or at least not Yi. And goes up to Yubaba's room. Yubaba is still there, so she like jumps into Big Baby's like pile of pillows, and it turns for some reason. And after Yubaba leaves, her and Big Baby like stuff like to go into like you. It's next door. And sees that Haku's hurt. Chihiro's like trying everything he can to like help him. And then there was like this little paper talisman that was like stuck to Chihiro. The whole time that she was running through this place, the things that attacked Haku. That's when Zeniba shows up, like kind of like a spirit, astral projection, that. And basically, she's pissed at Haku because he stole from her, and basically, because he stole from her, he's cursed, he's dying. Big Baby finally leaves his room. He's like a big germaphobe or whatever because of his mother. But because he leaves his room, Zeniba sees him and basically turns him into a big mouse, and turns like the little familiar into like a little bird. So that's what they are in the. And yeah. And I think the only thing else is Haku and Chihiro like fall down like this hole and end up into the boiler room. So the boiler man's like with him, and she notices that Haku has something in his throat, so she grabs it, and it's the golden seal. There's like this black slug stuck to it, and so she squishes the black slug, which is actually what the footprint is in that lower right picture. But yeah, thoughts. I know it's a lot of explaining. I'm sorry about that, but
It's all good. It's a very good movie. It's like most Ghibli films have like their whole like story and world building that they're really good at.
yeah, and this is no different. They do a very good, like, they can get invested in all the characters. But yeah, anything you guys want to say for basic of like getting the seal from Haku and stuff like that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Like I said, if you guys need to say something, interject. It's totally fine. You guys need to say something, just say it. Let's see. So she squishes this black slug, which she believes is to be the curse. She grabs the black golden seal. Basically talks with Boiler. She basically tells the Boilerman to turn this seal to save Haku. Otherwise, he's gonna die. So, Boilerman goes into like this little drawer and gets train tickets that he's had for decades. Because there's like this train that you see throughout the. It's kind of in the background. But she basically accepts his gift of these train tickets, and the Boiler Man basically sends her out, like tells her where she needs to go and to go off, and that's it for the. She goes off, Lynn takes her and stuff like that. So. Anything you guys want to say?
No, I'm good.
Nina, you got anything?
I got nothing.
Okay. Oh. This is the last slide. We got the grand finale. Hero returns the seal to Zeniba, realizes that Zeniba is really kind, unlike her sister. So she is told to call her Granny. Haku recovers from the curse, being saved by love, makes a deal with Yubaba that if he brings Big Baby back, Hero is free. Must do one final test. After returning the final test turns out to be picking the pigs that are her parents. Passes the test, free to with sword dance. Hell yeah! I was like, Sarah message, so sent dinosaur dancing down.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So that kind of explains it. I don't know if I need to go into too much detail with
I think you
Scott.
explained it pretty well.
Okay. So I guess we could go. Actually, I guess there's this. Um, between leaving, go to between like leave to Zababa and stuff. Yubaba takes basically takes Shihiro to uh No Face, who's still like producing gold and that. And No Face just wants to be basically wants to be friends with give her but she's all like, I have to leave, I have to do something. And this makes No Face mad. And he's also like this bit this picture in the top right. He's this big like thing with teeth now. So he's transforming because of all eating. Uh so basically he chases Chihiro. Chihiro uses the um uh little pellet, which she believes to be medicine. Um like she uses half of it on Haku to try and save him. Then she uses the other half on No Face. And this makes No Face like start to stuff like that. Grow up. But in doing so, all the stuff he's been eating is like being released. It's going back to like self. He even spits up the 8. So yeah, so she inadvertently saves them. Um, and when this happens, when she starts to leave to go see Zaniba, she sees No Face like still following her. She basically calls him over, and he just continues to follow her. And then when they get to Zaniba's place, No Face stays with Zaniba, which is very cute, I think. And but yeah. Also, yeah, Haku already recovers. Like, she didn't actually need to go to Zaniba and return the Golden Seal, but because she did, Zaniba's like very kind, stuff like. He's already recovered because of the power of love. They literally quite say that in the movie. So, but yeah, and basically Haku goes and picks up Chihiro and little Ma- little mouse or and bird and starts to fly them back. And while they're riding, or like while Chihiro's riding Haku, she remembers where she's seen Haku before. Turns out when she was very young, she slipped into a river, and his spirit saved her. And that's what makes Haku remember who he was, and it was this river. He is a river, just like the one that she saved. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the god of the Kohaku River.
Okay. I didn't remember the name, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Kohaku River Spirit. And yeah, which also, obviously with her cleaning the river spirit and stuff is um showing of how we do rivers like that, just a little bit of an environmental message behind I guess the last thing I'll say is for the test, she has to pick out from that group of pigs which are her parents. She looks at all of them, and the fun part is that everybody in the bathhouse is like supporting her and cheering her on, except for Yubaba. She's still kind of
Of course.
Yubaba's like secretly cheering her on. But Chihiro basically looks at all the pigs and says none of them are pigs, and that was the correct answer. So that's how she gains her freedom, saying that none of the pigs are her parents. Stuff like final thoughts on this like final finale and everything.
And the fact that she knew about the pigs.
Yeah, as I don't know how she knew, but she knew. There, Nina. Final thoughts on the finale?
Honestly, I just think that it's the same with every Ghibli film, I feel like, but it's just a really great way to end the movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very nice. Like, okay, pass the test, and then she goes and returns to the human world. So, I will say the funny thing about end of the movie that when they return to the human world, their car has like stuff on it, and there's so much dust on the car, and there's also like grass that grew where they were. I wonder how long they were gone. Like, that's not just like a few days. Uh, and me and Phoenix were talking about like they probably lost the house if it's that long of time because they didn't make payments on it.
Honestly.
So, final thoughts on the movie as a whole.
It's just a great movie. A really good movie.
I definitely very good. Was this like your guys' first Studio Ghibli movie that you saw? Not now, but ever.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
yeah,
I
it's
don't think
pretty
it was
good.
my first, but I think it was one of the first ones I watched.
I think Ponyo was my first.
I think Ponyo was also my.
I think that might have also been the first one that I watched.
Ponyo is
Hey,
such a cute movie. It's one of my favorites.
it's adorable. I think it's on the list. I don't remember if it is, but I will add it if it's not.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure I put it on the list, if anything.
Pretty sure you did too. I'm like, I skimmed through it real quick.
Because I think when I watched it again recently, only then did I realize another favorite movie of mine is The Little Mermaid. It
Yeah.
very much has the same tale as The Little Mermaid. So no wonder I liked it.
Yeah, no. I think Studio Ghibli are great. They all have their own styles. And they don't skimp on like the hard parts of the story or they tell the story they want to tell. Cool. Uh Probably the last time we're gonna say it, but any final thoughts on here? Yeah, or you guys wanna figure out what we're doing next?
Excited to see what gets picked now.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
begin.
Let's see what it is. I don't think there's just me clicking through the slides real quick, make sure there's not another one that's like hidden. Okay, spin the wheel, which is not even the name of this thing. But yeah. Spin the wheel. Let's see what we get for next month. Group 1, first one is okay, we're watching Schindler's List.
Is that
That's the World War II movie. It's an amazing movie. It's an amazing movie. It's obviously a very sad. That was Gallagher's.
Oh no, am I gonna
pick.
cry watching this movie?
Maybe.
A
Oh,
little. One moment for sure. Yeah,
I'm a
probably.
big crybaby when it comes to movies, so.
Don't worry,
Alright.
I'm in the same boat.
Let's see what the next one. Next one is. Say that a little bit too early. Still spinning. We're watching another Studio Ghibli movie. We're watching Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which I think is another sad.
A good pick though.
Is it sad? I actually have never seen.
You know. mm.
Wait. Well, let's watch the trailers for this. Call it a day. Hide that thing. Tube. Schindler's List. Trailer. Trailer. This has the Steven Spielberg movie. It has Liam Neeson in it. Watch it. Here we go. Trailer for Schindler's. I saw this in high school. AP, or is it It was European. Also, the movie is black and white by choice.
I'd make sure it's known the company's in business. I'd see that it had a certain panache. That's what I'm good at. Not the work, not the work. The presentation.
You guys know what the movie's about?
And of course, who could live without
No idea.
as many as you can find.
Never heard of it.
I will give you a description of the movie.
Real rarities.
I don't think I've ever seen anything about this one.
Boxes of Cuban
Really? Okay.
and dark unsweetened chocolate, often the shape of ladyfingers. Chunk chocolate, big as my hand. You sample as wine tastings. 900, no, make it 10 for Wednesday. And all this stuff here goes to mattresses factory. I lost a worker. I expect to be compensated. He's on the list. He is. Well, let's find him. Stern! 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 Itzhak, Stern! Stop the train! He's here! Stop the train!
Yeah, this is going to be a tough movie. I'm gonna say that now.
I was broke and sharing a room with 12 people I didn't know.
Oh, I can already tell I'm gonna be very emotional.
Oh yeah.
This gives me vibes of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, I think it's called.
Definitely.
I agree.
Well, it's because they both take place in World War II. Yeah. This is gonna be a tough one, for sure. There's...
The list is life. All around its margins lies the gulf.
This is a longer movie. Prepare for that. I don't know if you guys will watch it with me. Kind of a longer movie. It's like 3 hours. It is a good movie. So basically, the description. Even it. The description of the movie uh, based off what I know. It's 3 hours and 50. Um, so obviously it takes place in World War II. This, Eve, if I remember correctly, is based on a true story. It follows Oscar Schindler. So basically, what Oscar Schindler did during World War II is he opened up factory in Germany. Obviously, we all know what happened in World War II with the Nazis and Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, so what Oscar Schindler did was open up factories, and he basically made a list, and they were all Jewish people. Made them all employees of these factories that were basically producing stuff for the Nazis. Um, he did this. In doing so, he basically saved the lives of hundreds of during World War II.
Oh, pretty interesting.
And that's why in the trailer that we just saw the guy say the list is life stuff. Basically because of that list, the people on that list are able to survive because uh, of it. So it's a very heavy movie prepared for that, but it is a very amazing movie. It'll be a nice history lesson for us. Uh, um,
Can't
have Nausicaa of Nos. I can't spell Nausicaa of Valley of the Wind, but there's autocorrect. I actually have no idea. That's someone else is gonna have to give me a description of this movie. Let's do it. All I know is it's sad, if I remember. Coming the tree, speaking of sending onto a golden. Of that. Oh, they look like Chocobo.
Do
心優しい少女ナウシカがいた。人類は残り少ない資源を争って戦い合い、そのためにオウムの力を利用しようとしていた。
Didn't realize a girl was the main character. I thought it was a boy. But I guess Hayao Miyazaki used like
music feels
girl,
like
right?
it doesn't match the what I'm watching.
It doesn't at all. I was gonna say that too, but oh, the Valley of the. I mean, I feel as though a lot of movies in that were made in that era don't have matching music, whatever it actually is doing. 1984. This was.
Jeez Louise.
Does someone mind giving me? The trailer actually did kind of a good job, but
I'm gonna be honest, it's been a long time since I've seen this. I know there's like it was a war called like 7 Days of Fire, and then there was like a jungle that's like poisonous, and then Nausicaa is like trying to communicate with all the creatures and everything.
Okay.
But other
Is
than that,
there?
I don't remember a lot.
Okay.
I'm
That's
glad
totally
you
fine.
know about it because I'd never seen this.
I have not. I have not seen it once, but I've heard of it. I own it. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, I was a child the last time I watched this.
Oh, we'll see. At least we're not watching The Grave of the Fireflies, because I know that one is very sad.
Oh, I would cry.
Yeah. But, yeah, no. Okay. So those are the two movies we're doing next month for Group 1. Thank you everybody who came and watched. We appreciate it. But yeah, no. Next week we have Steven Universe and Scooby Doo. Those are the two things we will be watching. It is not the Steven Universe movie. Watching season 1 of Steven. But yeah. So thank you everybody for coming. Thank you three for coming and talking. If you guys want to plug your guys' stuff like usual. So.
I
Anybody
want
can
to plug
start.
food.
Any of you guys can start.
Okay, I'll go first. Anyways, my Twitch is Zara Cassini. My X is Zara underscore C underscore. Um, and I'm streaming again in October.
Fun.
Ooh,
That'll be fun.
I'm gonna have to lurk when I can.
Same. Both of you
Okay, I
wanna?
guess I'll go, yeah. Uh, my Twitch is wolf underscore girl 9876, and there should be a link on there for everything because not everything's the same username, so it's just easier to find it in one spot. Yeah, I stream usually whenever I can in between like work and everything in my day to day.
You kid?
And I'm Nina Beton. You can find me anywhere with the same username, usually on YouTube. I'll be starting that in like a month or so, so y'all can check out there.
Sweet. That definitely. Will. Well, once again, thank you everybody for coming and talking to me. That was awesome. I think there was a lot of talking. We got a lot out of it. So, and next month there will be a million times more because we're going into history. So, that will be a heavy talk, but it'll be a good informational one. But yeah. So thank you everybody for coming. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it here, and I'll just click end stream. So thank you guys one more time. Thank you. Bye bye.